Well, as you can see, I'm blind, or as what we are also known today as a visually impaired person. However, today the topic that I'll be talking about is not really about our identity. The fact is, I can't see. The topic that I would like to talk about today is, how do you see us as a blind person? How do you look at us? Do you see us with sympathy? What are the thoughts that are going through your mind right now? Perhaps for some of you, when you look at a blind person, you will be, your emotions tugged with sympathy, sad, depressed, feeling so lost for this person. So much so that you are even willing to pay exorbitant fee for a pack of tissue paper. You can see the picture of many blind friends of ours who sells tissue paper on the streets. You sympathize with them, that you're even willing to pay 10 times the amount of money you can buy a pack of tissue paper from the supermarket. Yes, you are helping this. You are giving them some money for their livelihood. But at the same time, you are also helping a syndicate that is ferrying these people around the streets. They are also making money out of the blind people. And it is really not helping us in any way, because it's helping us to feel more disabled. Or do you look at us with anxiety and apathy? I can recall many times of how many of us crossing traffic light junctions, and our sense of hearing have to be heightened, and we would many times hear cars screech to a halt, even though there are people walking by past us. Somehow, rarely there's some who come and help us. Of course, occasionally I would get my cane being held up by some person and just lead me across, which is actually endangering me and that person as well. Or the picture that you see in this slide is me and my guide dog, LaShawn, who is the first and only guide dog in Malaysia as of now. One day I decided to go shopping with him to this big mall in downtown KL. And the moment I went in, I was very welcomed by a group of security people, who was fearing that my guide dog would do something. I was wondering at that time, if I were to be wearing a police uniform, would they stop me? But I guess I would also end up in jail for impersonating a police officer with a service dog. And so for this many years, one of the main mission of my work is to ask people, why don't you look at the blind with empathy? Yes, sympathy. I mean, I still like to get VIP treatment at airports, I don't have to line up at the customs, immigration. I can be the first one out, being treated like a VIP. And of course, being served with food, that is a privilege. But not too much of it, because like I said, it will only make me feel disabled. With enough empathy, many of us, as you can see from the pictures, there's a group of us right now who is championing this cause of building empathy. And I run an extremely dark social business to encourage this empathy building. Before your thoughts go into some kinky thoughts or sexy thoughts, the business I run is nothing of that sort that you're thinking about. Even though it's extremely dark. Yes, we run a social business. I'm a part of a group of social entrepreneurs around the world that is using the medium of darkness to drive through that message of empathy, to sell tickets to the public, to give education tours and also corporate team building workshops to corporate companies, to let them experience what is it like to live in a world that is without sight. Yeah, and it has created much of an impact. Simply, we just want to drive through one message, and that is, our world is not poorer. It's just different. And given the right tools, we can be a contributor to society. And that's what my vision is all about. Through running of this extremely dark social business, vision number 1 is 1% inclusion. Promoting 1% inclusion. A well-wishing businessman once asked me, why do you say 1% inclusion? Why not 100% inclusion? And so I said, would you give me 100% of your wealth so that we can go on this project of inclusion? I've not heard from him since then. Yeah. So the mission that we are embarking on here, it's about money, but it's also to champion, to advocate for this 1% inclusion. We're talking about the budget. We're talking about the malls, developers who are building these big mega malls all over, millions of dollars. Can they set aside 1% of their budget? Yeah, to have tactiles around the malls, and to have lifts that can talk, and escalators that can talk, which will help people like me, who is an adult blind, who don't know Braille, sadly, that will know which floor I'm going to. Or, what about the schools? Could they, 1% of that number of students there are from the disabled group? And with the government, through the Ministry of Education, spend 1% of that training budget to train more teachers to teach the disabled. Yeah? And what about the municipal councils? The millions of dollars that they spend annually to maintain the city. Can they set aside 1% of that money to perhaps have traffic lights that have sound, and to put tactiles? One tactile costs only about 5 ringgit, perhaps even lower when you buy even more. And what about 1% more employment? What if the government, with its commitment to fulfill 1% of the employment workforce to be given to the disabled, would have been fulfilled by now? That's 10,000 people of the disabled community working with the government. Currently, the government has got 1 million civil servants, and if 1% of that, that's 10,000 off the streets, not the house where they are living, a rotting life, waiting for time to pass by. And if that happens, corporate companies will follow suit. Imagine that, 1% of the total workforce in our nation would have included the disabled community. And what's the side effect to that is that, you are also helping senior citizens on top of the disabled community, because with traffic lights that can sound, and also the lifts that gives voice, and it will also help senior citizens, because they too have failing eyesight and mobility. We've often shared that if you think of the least of the society, generally the entire society, communities will benefit. My other vision is had 100% exclusion. Perhaps many of you are not aware that every 5 seconds, someone somewhere around the world would have lost their eyesight. By the time you go home tonight to sleep 12 midnight, assuming that you all sleep at 12 midnight, that is, 18,000 people would have lost their eyesight somewhere around the world. Yeah, and the number is growing. It's growing annually, 7 million. And up to now, there's 300 million. And according to WHO, 80% of this is totally unnecessary. It could have been avoided. And this is what we do as well. Besides using the medium of darkness to encourage empathy, we are also doing whatever we can to exclude people from joining the VIP club. There's enough of us here. Please don't come and join us, especially towards the younger generation. It is truly a growing concern when you hear of stories of 2-3 years old wanting to use the iPhone and the iPad. I can't share with you how many horrifying stories that we hear about youths who just lost their eyesight because of spending too much time playing computer games. They don't even blink their eyes. And we are now living at a stage where in our nation we have got 3 million diabetics and up to 6 million people who have got cholesterol, high cholesterol. Imagine 5 to 10 years from now, 8 to 10% of them becomes visually impaired. Is our nation prepared to handle the numbers, hundreds of thousands, disabled people? Think about the economy, think about the emotional trauma that each and every one of this family member will have to go through. And I, being an adult stricken with glaucoma, having lost my eyesight at the age of 45, I certainly would not want anyone within my capabilities to end up in a situation like me. And really it's all an effort, not just by me alone. And I pray very much that the younger generation, especially many of you today, to come alongside with us on this mission. Come alongside with us on this vision. 1 hour less on the computer probably would give you even more hours with good eyesight to see what is going to be ahead of you. It's going to be a long journey, and we are more than prepared for it. We just pray that through events like this, as we carry on this message, that no one needs to be blind. It is perhaps an utopian dream that I may have, but I have always believed that every building, every invention begins with a dream. Helen Keller once said that what is worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Join us, my friends, to battle this unnecessary blindness that is happening all around the world. Give us more empathy, and most importantly, love your eyesight, love your health, love your family. Thank you very much once again to the organizer. God bless you all. Thank you.